presume that means we're live. So, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Trappist Transfer. We are just wrapping up or rather getting into, I guess, some of the character creation. We've been talking about our character concepts to save you the tedious task of us sitting here and staring at each other with abacuses, or abaci, trying to figure out numbers. We will be wrapping up the show maybe in 20 to 30 minutes, kind of like when we get to that portion. But before we do, I want to go around the table and talk about our homework assignment, which was to figure out, or at least introduce at least one NPC, and we can do more, whether it's related to your character or not, it is up to you. And one location in the virtual environment. I have some already sort of planned, but I want to see what you would come up with. After that, I'm going to read us through the character creation overview, at least for the viewers, and kind of what I expect and anything that we've kind of changed, kind of like reps and factions just for now. Any limitations I might add in terms of like morphs and things for you. And then that's where we'll wrap up for the evening. And then we'll do our character creation and see you in a month or so. So I'll start off the circle thing again and go from there. Ashley, do you have any NPCs and a location that you would like to share with us? And it can be as little as a tagline, and then we will fill in the rest, or I will, or you can give me as much narrative as you desire with it. Yeah. Well, within reason.
So, Truthseeker has been pretty reclusive in their life, except for when interacting with people has been necessary, like to like find information or something like that. Like people are tools in a way. They do, however, have like a right hand person who like has always like been able to like make phone calls for them and do that kind of stuff that like involves your PA. Stepping outside of their research. Essentially, yeah, like a personal assistant.
Research assistant.
And I think they definitely volunteered to go on the ship with them as well. And I don't know whether or not they would be a like duplicate of themselves. Like I don't know if Truthseeker would like try to make a personal assistant do that, or how the assistant would just decide. And I don't know if they were one of the 10,000 or if they're just downloaded consciousness.
I kind of like them as just a downloaded consciousness.
Honestly. Yeah, like they probably tried to be one of the 10,000, but why would like? They're kind of like been living in my shadow their entire life, right? So like they're in my shadow and they don't get picked, and so like I feel like that can kind of be like a point of tension between them, like as things progress. Like I almost want to say that they are like the primary version of themselves, that there aren't a duplicate.
They just got away from the original version of you only to have a worse duplicate version of you.
Basically. And then they're stuck like as like a consciousness and not able to like really like shine still because they like didn't get chosen as a crew member.
I like that.
They don't have a name.
For now, TBD.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the name. Do you have any location in mind currently? We can also come back around. You want to?
I'd like to come back around for
let's do an NPC circle, and then we'll do a location circle and come around.
Yeah.
Mark, your NPC. Your Nipuk.
One of the few people that was included in the ship's roster, who was not related directly to the running of the ship. Is
so actual crew? What you're saying?
He's not crew,
okay.
But he's essentially the chosen cultural ambassador for the Earth people, and he goes only by the name the Artist.
So definitely knows Penelope.
Right. Very well connected, and very
and
strangely
who
accessible.
doesn't?
And strangely what?
Accessible.
Strangely accessible.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The Artist seems to have mastered the art of essentially like social media. What's the word? Social butterfly. The ultimate social butterfly. And at the time that the project was going on, he was pretty much the most famous person like on the planet as far as like culture and the arts were. And he is a self-styled Renaissance artist.
A throwback.
Yeah. Exactly, and
like, is that referred to the actual like Renaissance in the way that we know it, or is there some new version of the Renaissance?
Okay, in the sense that like in the Renaissance fashion, it's someone who understands the sciences as well as the arts, and is he's not a painter, he's not a musician, he is not a scientist, but he is all of those things.
So a Da Vinci kind of character.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what he kind of ideates.
Actually, going to say that the character, like the avatar, is sort of like a Vitruvian man, sort of. He's like almost a throwback to Da Vinci in that regard.
Right,
like,
and has the idiosyncratic, and uses him as an idiosyncratic moniker too. He identifies very strongly as male.
So sort of like a jack of all trades.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he's chosen to accompany the humanity as a cultural ambassador.
What does it say you do here? A little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And that's what he would say.
Yeah. What is your art life?
Oh no!
Yeah, he's insufferable too.
Oh yeah, no, I mean obviously.
I was hoping for something better.
Well, help us out with this. What do you got?
No, I
mean, characters can evolve.
Yeah. Cool.
I
world
like
ends.
where it's going into this like asshole space, so I want to keep going with that.
Go.
Can we make asshole space canon?
Yes.
So we've got need space, asshole space.
Batten down the hatches. We're now entering asshole space.
Yeah, exactly.
Full speed ahead.
It's like the ultimate burn on the ship.
Here comes asshole space.
Or when you're passing somebody, you're like, now entering asshole space. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Warp speed through asshole space.
you, like,
Alright.
pick it up.
Wow.
There's a lot of trolling in space.
Yeah.
What else
Space
do we
is
have to
everyone
do?
can hear you.
Right.
This is terrible.
You
and I
troll
love
in the mesh and everybody hears you.
it. Done. Like the artist. Trolling.
You like it's like putting out like a little Twitter notification passing asshole space, and it's like everybody can
Scrolling
see who
in
you're
the sky.
passing. Like,
Zombie boomerang.
I love this.
Deal.
Sorry.
Sold. It's an app. What do you got? NPC.
I don't know. This feels really easy and like maybe like cheating, but it's also like whatever. So the ship's AI. Like
Cool.
it's
Hey, it is an
So
NPC.
then
in this case.
name the AI, which is also naming the ship. You brought this on yourself.
Yeah, you sure did.
Own it.
do I have to do it right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
You can. Well, here's the thing. You can crowdsource. We can all talk about
Okay.
it. But this needs to.
I have
talking
it.
About it right now.
I have it.
Okay.
But I don't remember it because I'm bad with names, and I think you know it. So Castor is a part of twins.
Pollux.
There you go.
Yeah.
where's that from?
Done.
Castor and Pollux.
I mean, the Gemini twins.
Yeah.
The two stars that are also the primary stars.
You know, that's kind
fucking
of
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, I like
That's really
that.
cool.
Cool. Yeah, done. So name of the ship is Pollux.
Is Castor your
Right.
original name, or is that like a chosen name? You don't know?
No, not
Straight
really.
up don't know.
Oh, you don't remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't
It's
remember.
just the name tag I had on there.
It was
on
at
the jumpsuit.
It's actually
Oh,
the
I
company.
love that idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh no!
it's the Castor Jumpsuit Company. It's fine.
Right?
It's actually the company that built the ship.
Hey, actually, that'd be kind of. So I know we had talked about the ship being like the Enduring Hope as like the original name, and then I think when humanity broke up, we're like, now we're just gonna name it after the AI. Like Enduring Hope seems too sad right now. So
Yeah.
Pollux it is. I like that.
Cool.
Cool.
That is cool.
Was that were you following up, or are you making your own NPC? Is that where the was?
Oh no, I was gonna ask Evie, since you're spelling Castor differently, is Pollux spelled differently?
2 X's.
Yeah.
Three.
I'm so into X's. You have no idea.
Me too, right?
All
Can you
right.
just throw a Z in there? Where can we put
No,
a Z?
it's POL-X.
It's not.
X.
So actually, I do have something to think about because I talked about before, like, would English be the language? How would we want people to interpret a thing? Maybe not from Earth. Is there a different way we would spell it? Is there a different way we would visually want it to look?
Spellings would
Okay.
almost certainly change.
So
No, but I'm asking. I'm asking
now,
like the
now
team.
we have a story.
Oh, you know what I would like?
I like that. Pollock's spelling ?
So, like, say Pollux is the 10th iteration, so easy way to put an X. Like,
Pollock's X.
Paul X.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, Paul X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, no, not what I wanted.
But I do know what you're saying.
kinda
I like
cute.
it is it's
I
like
like
the
it.
iteration of that AI.
Yeah.
Like the 10th one, the 10th version. So you just add another X. And you wouldn't necessarily have to
So-
overpronounce it.
So it's
X.
Paul
Yeah.
X,
Paul.
X, 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 X.
It's the 100th.
X.
Right? Pollux
Just a
Ex
second loop.
Machina.
so, and then I feel like POL would be like the P, the O, and the L would stand for something.
Personalized something. All right, we'll come up
Oh,
with
I
it.
see. You want me?
Acronym
Yeah,
with
I'm
this.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Make an acronym.
You think about that? I'm gonna put it on you too.
Personable. No, I don't know.
It's okay. We'll work on it.
TBD. We can come back
Yeah,
to that
yeah.
one. Was
I
it
like
the,
where you're at, though.
What was the
Professional.
No, hold on. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the GPPs, the genuine people personalities.
Oh,
The doors are just depressed. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's- Anyway,
I like depressed doors.
You would.
You just walk all over them or through them. I don't know. It's like they're not
What's
even
the
there.
point of even opening?
Yeah. It's just,
So
really,
we,
anyway, I like that.
So I'm
I
gonna go
would-
hang out with them now.
Everyone
So,
I meet just
cool.
leaves me.
Oh, nobody stays with me. They just pass through.
Yeah.
oh,
Damn, I'm real sad. R.I.P.
Me too.
R.I.P.
Me
George.
Through the doors, man.
Morrison.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hang out with them.
I'm gonna need some more whiskey.
Yeah, just drink through yours.
I think there's some rum over there.
Sip the bottle.
Hey.
There is.
Next time, learn to ration yourself. It's an important skill you'll need
On
for the
ship.
journey.
All I gotta say is we just need less puns, redundancy,
Wait,
and
you,
sorry, I
you're
apologize.
saying
That's
no
what
one's
was wrong.
brewing on the ship?
Not yet. Don't make me throttle your data.
Pretty sure there's a firm. Ooh, hot.
My bandwidth!
I can't wait
It's,
for this.
it's all about the girth, the bandwidth.
Oh no!
It's a girthy data stream, guys. It's fine. Okay, time out. Back to the things at hand because I would like to wrap up here shortly.
NPCs.
I'm sure everybody else here is like, "Ooh, this is exciting," but I gotta.
Well,
go.
what the hell are they talking
Yeah,
about?
no, it's getting crazy. So, okay, cool. I love
drinks a lot of
NPCs. Connor,
I don't have an NPC yet.
cool. Come back around to it.
Yeah.
If how about this? Can you tell me about a family member that is an NPC, and if that family member is left on Earth, or if they came along with the ship, or if they were ego cast to the ship in the lifeboat process? I'm gonna leave that to you.
Or did they hack their way onto the ship?
Pay somebody to hack the ship. Maybe, who knows?
Oh, well, yeah, you know,
Okay.
it can be done.
Penelope's a fairly decent programmer, I think.
True. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's like somebody
Yeah.
has to transmit from Earth, though, which is the hacking.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe you smuggled your lover aboard.
In your hands. Is your hand your girlfriend? Sorry.
What if it's just a program
Yeah,
in the
no.
hand?
Oh, yeah. It knows what I
Just you
like.
and your hand.
It's the stranger.
Engage Me Time, Volume 3. I'm sorry, I know this is serious, and the hand is a beautiful thing, and I apologize for sullying this, but we're getting it out now before again.
Oh, but that's so.
Oh no, it's gonna keep going like
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't keep
it's not
going.
going to stop.
I'm so
It
into
doesn't.
this.
Don't stop. You have to tell your hand a safe word. No? Too weird? Is this the line?
No.
Okay. So that's the NPC I want you to think about. You don't have to answer now.
Yeah.
We'll come back around to it. So let's move on to locations then.
Locale.
I would give you all an NPC, but frankly, everything I'm creating is NPCs, so you'll see them.
yeah.
It can be simple, it can be complex. So I'm thinking think about a club, a bar, or a environment. Like somebody's created hey, this is for instance, this is my environment that I've created is the the location that we're expected to land, right? There is this place that I would say, like, I've described this as sort of like a giant sphere, right, where everything is built into. In the center of the sphere, like space above your head, is actually another sphere. And you can see that as like a sort of representation of the Trappist planet that we're going to. When you were on that, right, when you look up and out, you wouldn't see the city around you be like you were on Trappist itself. And that is where, like, it's almost like we're in the fishbowl or the surgical theater, like watching what's happening, and so everybody can kind of feed into how the colony is building inside this virtual space. So that's kind of what I'm imagining. You can also be like, here is this like flavored text bar or club or a school.
Okay,
or,
no, I have an
like
idea. So essentially, it's like it like started off as kind of like an arcade type deal, like where people could kind of go and like blow off some steam, and it's like a place where people can interact with people that are in the virtual reality. And I want to say that like eventually it kind of like morphs, like as the ship, like the Earth is destroyed, the ship keeps going, it kind of morphs into this like almost like not underground thing, but like basically like a gladiator ring, you know, like people go to like blow off steam and they watch like virtual people like fuck each other up, and like they have all these different cool things that they can do with their programming and stuff, so like it gets like really intense and crazy, but it's one of those things where it's like it kind of becomes like a really cool like shock value thing. And you know, I'm assuming that the virtual versions of themselves can actually be destroyed, so it's kind of just like a fun thing people do, and you like watch people kind of like...
Is it like semi-renegade? Like, obviously it's happening, so some amount of the ship has to allow this to happen.
Yeah.
But is it sort of like hush-hush? Like,
I mean, people kind of don't talk about it. It's not
Right.
like necessarily ship's sanctioned, and it isn't what this originally started out to
first
be.
rule
You know
of
what I
Fight
mean?
Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like, and everybody kind of
Virtual
like
Fight
knows
Club.
it exists, and everybody kind of like has like taken pleasure in it when
Yeah.
they've needed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can
it's
see
one
that.
of those things.
The ship is sanctioning it.
Well, no, and I can
Humans
see
need
that
this.
part of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a
Totally.
part
They
that
want-
could be basically...
Like everybody went through all this trauma. They need
Right.
to blow off that violent
Right.
like.
and we don't have a better... For when I think about these things, is it's like you have that part where someone's like, well, that's wrong, and that's the bad system, and then the response is like, okay, but do you have a better system? We don't actually have a better system yet because we're still humans. So
Yeah. And
So
it
I
kind of
see
like
that.
breaks down to like the base level of it is like, but it's not hurting anybody.
yeah,
you know?
right, because
I
we're
mean,
not real.
Psychologically, yes, it could be doing
For
some
now.
damage, but
Right.
it's not hurting anybody. It's kind of where everyone's kind of at with it, you know, on the base level. And so like it's not hurting anybody, and it's like allowing people to like move on with some stuff.
Some people
like
find
it.
a level of resolution in the pain that
Yeah.
they're feeling from
Other
the
people may
like a
find-
friendly-
in the pain that they feel of the death, the ego death.
Right.
And-
Alternatively, other people might fuel something about themselves that is not appropriate or not good.
like you might create a murderer.
Correct. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, I love killing people.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's not just do it virtually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Now what
Yeah.
you're saying, which tagline? Okay.
Yeah. Just like the
It's on my
opposite.
business card.
Yeah.
Not truth seeker. No, you're good.
I was like, is this actually insane? Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. So the arcade, I like that.
Yeah, that's what people call it too, the arcade, but it's kind of become like literally like a quasi gladiator ring that just like literally think like if you're in a virtual reality, whatever the human imagination can come to in like a one-on-one fight. Like what do people think to do, to bring, to create, to like make exist in this virtual reality?
We will probably have
Those
drinks
are
or
going to
something.
get like really fucking crazy and intense fights like that. And it's just like it's one of those things people are going to keep trying to up the last. You know, you want to like get as many people watching you as possible. Like you want to be the coolest fighter. Like one of those things. I feel like
Yeah,
cool.
it kind of becomes like a hierarchy type like
Level of
faction in the ship. Yeah.
level of fame. I like that. Mark.
So prompt me again. What am I looking for here?
Looking for some kind of location, specifically in the virtual world for us, right? So like something that has been, create, like we now have ability to kind of create new stuff, right? And the world
Right.
can, especially as more consciousnesses get downloaded into that, right? So
Okay, got it. The artist in the VR realm, the artist has a place called the Palace of Dreams.
I'll say that's why they were chosen on the ship. Like this specifically was set aside for them.
Yeah, exactly. This was designed to the artist's specifications, and it's definitely like meant as a multimedia platform where the artist spends most of his time and he's creating stuff. it's sort of subject to whim, but it's also like a crowdsourced event where part of the way that the artist is like using his sort of innate charisma with across the social media on the ship. He's essentially making a social practice of the Palace of Dreams. So people are helping create things through him in this place, and then they can come visit it. They can spend as much time as they want there, or they can just create things and leave, and other people can experience them.
I like that he's in many ways a curator.
Absolutely.
What did you say? Like a curator, cultural ambassador, but like also
exactly. And that's what I was sort of.
And little did we know how important this would be. Right, like, this was sent off as like, hey, we're carrying humanity with us, and we want to make sure like we carry this into the stars. But now this is all we have, and so like carry what we can remember, what we want to carry on from before.
And that's where my character comes into play. Is in the Palace of Dreams.
Interesting.
That where he or it starts to manifest in the sensorium that's created by the Pavilion of Dreams. Or Palace of Dreams, Pavilion of Dreams. I haven't decided which word I like.
Those words.
The Pavilion
of Dreams is so Sandman, though.
Is it?
Like, it gives me a Sandman vibe. And that's not like a bad thing. I'm not like saying
we're in very much a surreal environment. So.
I like Sandman. It's a good thing.
And there was... It's been a long time since I've read it, but I don't think this house was actually called the Palace of Dreams.
No, I'm just saying it gives me a Sandman vibe. Yeah. Cool. I think the only thing that's called like, there's a library of dreams. I think that's it. But I don't think there's like anything else dreamy that's called of dreams in the dream.
Yeah.
So dreamy.
In the dream, literally.
There's the House of Mystery, but
it's different.
Yeah.
Table for now, though. Next up.
Sorry.
So you really want this to be in the VR?
If you've got a really great real world environment, cool. But I'm angling currently at VR because
we want to build it, right? No, I hear that.
So if you've got a reel as well, send me a thing. We'll talk about that.
I mean, I mentioned it,
but a little bit.
I did.
That actually begs a good question, though. Is if resources are limited, they might want to have people more in the VR than in meat space, but there might be places still.
But we've also said that if you are dreaming, you can visit meat space.
I'm just saying that would the resources be extended to keeping like physical spaces on the ship if they could be done just as well in VR?
What's the thing? Like, there's not a lot of meat space or meat suits to occupy meat space, so like we don't need a lot of physical, right?
Right.
In fact, it's I mean, maybe almost viewed as a little bit of a pain now being in meat space.
It would be much easier to just manifest it.
People are virtual,
right? Yeah. And if we're used to virtual and we're comfortable with that, like with that space, we might prefer it. But there'd always be people who would want to be throwbacks to.
Well, we've also got to preserve, right? I have plans for now. Presume primarily we're going to be operating in a virtual sense, but there's going to be a lot. There's going to be physical things that come up, and it will evolve.
I would also.
I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate with the whole idea, but
shocking.
I also feel like that depending on the VR environment, again, like there's not just sort of meat suit resources, kind of like physical, tangible resources, but you have just very like basic resources like energy and bandwidth and things like that. So we want to think about that too for the VR. So no opinions, but I'm just curious if everyone has seen Minority Report.
No, yeah.
Great.
Just thinking about
Yes or no?
Yeah, that's all I needed. So in Minority Report, they have a place for prisoners that is like all this fun, cool, like tech stuff that goes like up and down, and they're all like racked, essentially. They're like racked and locked and like all this stuff. And I like that imagery for interacting with what I've sort of internalized and been thinking of as the dreamers or the sleepers, however one might refer to it. And so, especially for my character, I do see myself in VR quite a bit, literally just to do my work. Like, not even just for funsies. Like, in fact, I might just go get a meat suit for fun. Like, that might be sort of my thing.
Right.
Who knows? We're not there yet. I haven't decided that. So I think of a space, and maybe this is partially a space also that helps us when we're building the world, or that kind of space that helps us learn once we land, how we're going to rebuild the world, but is essentially kind of a racking system for the sleeping consciousnesses where I can easily look at all of them and see if like anybody wants to interact with me, anyone that I want to interact, if like the way that I envision it is that I'm able to look at it and they have stats and I'm like, oh, that psyche's in the red. Go look at that one. Like, or that kind of like these kinds of like information as far as like keeping an eye on the ship.
Because the AI might filter things to you that are in the red.
I want to say, if I can augment this, I want to say that is a location that you probably spend a lot of time with for obvious reasons we'll see in a second.
Right.
But a location that is like part of specifically the AI's domain, like within the virtual, right? So like so it is like HQ, something like that, like, you know, and we call it like the Hall of Consciousness or something. I mean, it's something better than that, perhaps. That's just off the top of my head. But like
the Hall of Consciousness.
I don't know, like whatever. You know. People profiles, whatever. Like, you know, but like something where, you know, you are already spending a lot of time with the AI and curating and connecting, and you're also sort of feeling that parental connection in an interesting way,
right?
With everybody else, right?
Right.
And spoiler, that's going to be you know, problematic for you.
I mean, I feel like it already is.
You were only trained for, you know, tens of thousands, not the number that we are going to have. We'll talk about later.
Right.
So, you know, and that is going to cause problems. But I like that because it is sort of like a monitoring system that would go through an HQ. So, like, I like that. And maybe, like, think about what we might call that room. But, like, and that is sort of like part of your office, which I imagine is a subset of that HQ.
Right. I mean, we could even, like, mostly we've talked about, like, sort of rooms or semi, like, enclosed spaces in the AI world. It could also be like a complex within the AI world. Like you would, like maybe like you said, my office, or like we have a room where I can view that data, but maybe there are break-off rooms where people can like come and interact with my med staff or that kind of thing for other services and whatnot.
I like that. Making notes. Cool. I like it. We just kind of like casually drop like, hey, there's an HQ, and we'll flush that out later. But like, it makes a lot of sense that there'd be a piece, right, where like you know, a lot of other operating systems and things that need to run through the AI are also present there and like have a presence there and other pieces. So cool. Counter.
So just thinking of this. I want there to be a space called the Haberdashery.
Hats off to you.
Oh, I love haberdashers.
They make more than just hats.
I know,
Yes,
but it was
they do.
just a good pun.
Yeah.
It's also a good show.
So I want it to be a programmer space for doing bespoke mods for VR for mesh space, but also if you need to connect with somebody else when you've like hit a really sticky problem that is like, oh, I don't know how to actually get to this, so I'll go to the haberdashery and like see how we can put our code together to get something else.
Ooh, I like that. So that's gonna be a key spot for us to roll through as things come up, right? And we're like, I don't know what to do.
Cool.
Let's go to the haberdashery.
To the haberdashery!
But like if you're just
That's gonna be
a
fun.
like body, or if you're just a dreamer, like you'll run through there like, oh, I'm going to the arcade, so I need this. And you got your like gladiator mod.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I really want this weapon, but it's like not firing right. Can you like help me like fix it? And then you like the programmer's like, oh, you need to like do this and this and this. And they like,
well, no, because they just program something specific for you.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Like you don't bring them something. You're like, this is what I'm gonna do in the arcade, and they're like, here's this thing.
So I want to say a thing, but I need everybody to rein in what I know is going to be your reaction to this. But like, if anyone has been on Second Life or done any like RP on Second Life, they have this. They have like full arcades where you like go to a person and you're like, hey, can you build me this piece that I want for my avatar? Can you build me this that and like that's what I think of when you're saying that, and even like for the arcade, because like that space is
exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the way to think of it.
But so like what's coming out for the common dreamers is all based on like a certain set of patterns, but like all these people who are actually like good programmers and coders are going in like, okay, now how do we do a new pattern? Like, what's the next season?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And those might be influencers too. Like this is the new something pattern, and everybody like starts. Well, that's what I want to wear when I go to such and such a place.
Yeah,
the Palace of Dreams.
Yeah,
right.
Followed up by a light snack. I'd like to have a dashery.
Right.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
For me, and this will kind of wrap up this phase. I imagine after the disaster, there is a place, a sort of like memorial that is set up for Earth, right? And it is a location once you enter into that has like it's basically a botanical gardens. Right, so it's sort of like a tiny piece of each of the major biomes, including urban biome, right? Like there's pieces of like cityscape throughout all of this. There are moments of art that have been sort of collaborated with the artist, and sort of like monuments to fallen humanity and those we left behind, and allowing people to hopefully help and process and work through with that. At the same time, though, there are going to be like entire factions of people who live out their lives inside of that because they are just refusing to let go of the world that was left behind.
We should just let them go. We don't have a lot of processing power.
Whoa.
They're not functioning.
Are we going back to the airlock? You going?
Oh, we're not going to put them in an airlock. We'll just delete them.
And awkward silence staring into the camera. We'll talk about it.
I'll totally push the button.
I'm just saying,
I
like,
have
if they're not going to function in use,
Are you having different? Are you?
I've already thought about
working
this.
With your trauma?
there has to be a way to thin the herd.
Yeah. Is your psyche breaking down?
How cold everybody's getting already. Hold on. Let me murder. Let me murder NPCs. Right. We'll get there. Trust me.
I'm pretty sure that I was like, no, we cut off all communication.
Yeah. Right. I heard that. I heard that. True story.
I'm not surprised. All right, cool. So what I want to do then briefly is I'm just going to talk through the 13-step character creation process that is recommended via the Eclipse phase. We are not going to do it right now because that would be terribly boring for our viewers. Hello. Off camera, especially because it's, again, considering we're not playing for a month after this ish, we will, have time to tweak. So I don't want to be like lock us into doing this right now. But as the process goes, step 1 of 13 is finding your background, where there's a nice list of things like colonist, enclaver, freelancer, etc. Find what fits your character. You may need to tweak the particular like backstory connected to it if it's something that is a variant on us. But keep in mind that most of you are crew or crew-based kind of thing, right? Crew-based factions. What this does is it gives you a little bit of a way to focus on your background and the skills that come along with that and skill points that are associated with it. What I love that the system does is it tells you not to worry about it too much because it is so customizable post that. In that, little kitty, just kind of don't think about it too hard. Write down the stats or write down the skills, and then kind of move along. Right. You can kind of plan ahead a little bit, but in this case, I think just kind of roll with it. Right. So then next up, you've got your career, which is sort of a secondary level of this, where you've now chosen your profession, what connects back to what's brought you on here, or as close to that as makes sense. And it's another layer of this where you get skills like free fall, athletics, interface, etc. What you know. So write those down and just have those as a separate stat block. Thirdly, your interests, which is yet again, sort of another piece where you've got your other focuses, other related skills. So it's another stat block. And then you've got your faction. So for now, you're just ship faction. Ship. Make sure I didn't say shit faction. You're the shit faction.
You're shit.
Oh,
I mean, you're not wrong.
There's one guy. One guy with the shit faction.
Somebody's got to be a sewer engineer.
Yeah, virtual sewers.
Trash babe for life.
It's just
Virtual
getting rid of all of
sewers.
your old tweets.
Oh, wait, can I change to my virtual...
Shit faction.
It's just the sewer.
Done.
The virtual sewer.
Love that. So after that, you've got your aptitude template, which is sort of assigning like specific your ego stats. So now going like, all right, so for your stats for your actual things of the nature that I wrote down, like cognition, intuition, reflexes, savvy, somatics, and willpower. So then those also feed into your skill blocks, right? What I love about this, and this is why it says do not worry about any overlap on your skills as you're going down the list, is when you get down to step 6, that is totaling up those skills. So you go back through, and if you happen to have a unique combination of background, career, and interests that gives you all of the survival skills, those numbers just add together.
So you get real survivally.
Yeah, you get real survivally. Here's the thing, though. What did I love about this? One,
Official time.
you're not allowed, I believe, to have a skill that is above 80. I'm going to double check that. They have some numbers in here. I'll have to roll back through, but I believe that's the case.
Though.
You can min-max. We just can't go above that. That is max.
I got it.
Is it 80?
Yeah, no final skill total, including aptitude,
Yep.
may exceed 80.
Cool. So here's that piece. So even though if it says like you got, survival twice and it adds up, you can also, instead of doing that, you can say, you know what, I actually just want to take those 30 points of survival and put it into a different skill. You can do that. You just have to go
You have to do all of them?
No.
Oh.
You can. This is really just a template of, if you really wanted to, you could go straight up, and as long as you had the same point totals with this, you could just do whatever you wanted, whatever your skills. But this is a nice way to kind of round yourself out, to give you a nice template, but you feel free to like subtract several off of interface and add more to, like persuade, for instance. Mm-hmm. The caveats to this are no skills. So when you know something, if you are decreasing points from a no skill, you have to add it to another no skill. So I do not know this, but I know that, right?
Okay.
Whereas any of your other skills, which I forget what they refer to them as.
Active skills?
Active skills, thank you. Active skills can go to active or no. So if I subtract interface, 5 points off that, I can add it to survival, or I can add it to a no skill. Mm. But only no's go to no's.
Nose goes.
No's and no's?
Nose goes.
Nose goes to nose. Got it.
It's you. You're the one who didn't touch your nose.
Does that mean what I gotta
Get
do?
out.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the thing.
Oh, apologize.
We actually only had room for 3 players.
You
man.
apologize.
So that's kind of the basic first half. Then it goes to languages, which also says is really functionally not important. You really get one language. If a combination of skills add up to a different score, you get an additional language. If it goes to a higher score, you get a second language on top of that. It gives you a recommendation. We can talk about our own languages again, I think, before then. But it's also mentioned that, especially with all of our technology, frankly, you can have real-time translation of just about anything. So language is more for flavor, especially in this case. It might be relevant if we were playing a different game where we could find ourselves isolated somewhere else and away from technology somewhat, but we're kind of not going to be in that case. Maybe, honestly, I will find a way to do some cool stuff with language, but it is not going to be a primary thing that I'm focused on in terms of like a mechanic to screw with you, like you don't speak their language, like something else will be going on if that's the case. So keep that in mind. It's fun, but don't like stress about it too much. So step 8, just get 1 flex point for free. That relates back to the pools. So you've got your ego, right, which is who you are as your consciousness, and then you've got your morphs, which is like the body that you were in, whether virtual or physical. And that is where your pools come in terms of like your moxie, your flex, and the other pool I can't think of right now. Somebody has it on their
Vigor.
Vigor. There you go. Those are typically represented by insight. Thank you. Those are typically represented in your morphs, and so like that's kind of like the stats that change as you sleeve into or out of things. And so your flex pool is one of those that can apply to just about anything. So you automatically get one, and you could buy more if you so choose. Everybody has 20 customizability points or customizable points, which there is a list at the end where you can literally step 10, customize however you want based upon like a buying value, right? Like 1 point for something else. Reputation, we're skipping for now. So then you get to that step 10 customization where you, as it says, tweak to your heart's content. That is where subtract points, add points, use those customizable points to give yourself better skills. To choose specialization for skills is also a time for that. You can say that, hey, because specialization bypasses that 80-point rule. So maybe you're a pilot. Right. But you are a specific type of pilot. In this particular instance, you're going to get like a 10-point bump for that, or a 5-point bump per point you put into it. So there might be moments where like you are just extra good at this. Right. So like I am okay at hacking, but I'm really good at hacking blenders. I don't know. For margaritas.
Yeah, I was like, I would hack a blender.
Yeah, 100%. I've said it for a reason. And then we've got our derived stats, so things where you calculate a few remaining pieces. You use your starting morphs and gear. This is something that I'm going to augment here in a moment. And then lastly, motivation. So kind of decide what drives you. And this might connect back to those factions and pieces, right? Since we haven't flushed that out too much yet, I think really focus on motivations that are based upon the mission, as well as now a survivability of humanity as some core, like think of this as aspects in terms of a D&D sense. But back to starting morphs and gear, that's a conversation I want to have over the next month with everybody. But what I'm imagining is based upon the intent of the mission. And how we put forth our resources as this sent out. Everybody is going to have to start off with the Exalt morph body, which is sort of like an elevated piece. Let me see if I can get to that page with clicking on it. Oh, this is not a clickable piece. Look up.
No.
Yeah, I didn't do it easy. So on page 46, I will get there. Continue. Screw you. Go away. Sometimes you gotta yell at technology.
That's kind of how I feel about this.
Right, there we go. Oh, God. Yeah, this is not super clear just yet. This is that clunky. There we go. Exalt. Exalt are the common, non-specialized, quote, enhanced human model. They are genetically upgraded to make them healthier, smarter, more attractive, based on ever-evolving beauty standards. A modified metabolism keeps them fit and athletic for the duration of an extended lifespan. That made the most sense for me in terms of this is what we outfitted everybody with, allow people to kind of choose in terms of their bodies that have physical bodies. Since you were a crew, you have physical bodies, unless otherwise stated. We've talked about. You do not currently.
I do not currently.
You have no meat space presence.
No meat space.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then other pieces will become available down the line, right? As technology progresses, as our needs evolve, things in particular that I find intriguing is the, neotenics, which is the next one down. They're transhumans modified to retain a childlike form.
Creepy.
Yep. They're smaller, more agile, inquisitive, basically halflings. Less resource depleting. They eat less. It's cool. Making them ideal for habitat living and spacecraft, right? So they can fit in tiny spaces. They're easily packed and they eat less. It's cool. And they can get through the vents.
They're doing a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, that's so seriously. Down the line. I imagine those things being sort of genetically manipulated and played with. But overall, I think everybody is in an Exalt physical form for those who are on the ship present.
Right, those halflings are creepy.
Yeah, no, very, very, very creepy. And that's sort of the caveats I have for you currently. Take a look at post this piece. You will have, as the standard fear, 6 morph points to kind of work with. Like, since I've already sort of given you a body, there's not much to do that unless you want to buy augmentations, and I'm open to that. So things like your arm, Connor, would sort of be something that is like a purchased piece in that case.
Yeah.
You can also, by the way, with customizable points, not only purchase things like I am adding extra skills to myself, but you can also give yourself flaws up to 6 points. There's a list that's connected back to this where you might have a flaw that is actually worth 2 points. It gives you 2 points back that you can then spend elsewhere. So it is a negative to you potentially. I mean, it is. I'm going to screw with you. But it'll then potentially benefit you in other areas. So the maximum you can get points from that is 6. So there's a limitation on how terribly flawed you can make yourself. I know, it's crushing. But please.
6 it is.
6 it is. Oh, yeah,
I'm
100%.
flaw the shit out of myself.
All flawed. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of flaws, and I like that it rewards you for that. So yeah, I would
Flaws
say
make us
keep that in
human.
mind. Steer away from anything psi or psionic. Do not want that present, at least for now. I'm open to conversations about that down the line, but I think at least where we are currently at, questionable.
Wait till the encephalopods get here.
Encephalopods.
If they come back.
Yeah.
They have to hang out
also
with the Nova crabs.
Space radiation.
I think we've created a Chekhov's gun here. I think they have to show up at some point.
So, I'm gonna pregnant pause that. Fuck out of this. Great. Any questions on any questions on that? How do we feel about the character creation process? Like off camera, we're gonna chat about it a little bit more for detail, but in terms of
it's pretty. This is the part of the eclipse phase. Well, at least I caveat. I have not played this version of it, but last time we played it, I thought that the character creation was a little challenging. Just in terms, it's very complex, but it's not overly so. And
I think this is doable. I also, like I said, why I'm offering that level of like we will have an option of retooling after a little bit of a story arc that we're going to do to kind of like feel things out, play it out, and see like what works, what doesn't work. Once we feel out the mechanics, I will come up with a plausible reason why. But that is also so I don't want you getting bogged down in this process right now. I'm worrying like, am I min-maxing my character appropriately? Am I doing this right? Just go through this process, feel it out. Feel free to take some risks and play with it, but know that it can be somewhat corrected down the line. I don't want you to necessarily.
So go crazy now.
Yeah, go crazy now. Have fun. Like play with it and see where we go. Great. So then, unless there's anything else,
I like to think that we're all in extremis right now. That our characters should be kind of min-max just for that.
I mean, honestly, like being chosen members to go like that's why I said you all have the Exalt body forms.
Yeah,
that's also the best available currently. But like that is why we're there to start off with. All the best resources have been put into this, right? The only other piece I want to add is to keep in mind with this process that you do not know that the fall of the Earth is happening, right? Like, so like your character has been formed and created prior to the destruction of humanity.
Right. So where are we entering? Where are we entering the
we will pick
story?
up play, by the way, on October 3rd. We will talk about that in a moment. We will pick up play basically right about the time that the message comes through. And there's going to be like, it's not like we're going to play minute to minute. We're going to start off with some narrative pieces. We're going to have some role playing of like, I'm going to make you watch the world be destroyed. And then be heading out of the solar system, right? So there's like the first couple episodes will be like a little bit of a montage-y sort of piece of us like wrapping up and being introduced to the world, especially for those who didn't join us on our creation brainstorming journey here. To kind of know what's happening, learn the ship a little bit, but we're picking up basically right when the news comes down, right?
Okay.
Like maybe just before, and then that's going to happen right away. Cool.
Excellent.
Cool.
Great. Then if that is the case, thank you so much for watching the Trappist Transfer. Give us a follow here on Twitch as well as on YouTube. We're doing our things in Podbean and other various social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all the like, all the thumbs and loves and likes. Truth Seeker, please join the Seeker clan. Now you have to make a Twitter feed for the Truth Seeker.
Yeah, you do.
And if you want to take
We can all speak the truth together.
It's very important. If you want to take that extra step and sponsor us for as little as $1, you can also kick in $2 or more for perks when they kick in at $2. The first legit session that we are going to be having of actual play is going to be October 3rd, which is a Thursday. Same time, same location, same Twitch stream, all that jazz. And then we will carry on from there, kind of on an every other week schedule with the Terra Sentia series.
October the 3rd? You can't say what day it is.
October the 3rd. What?
Sorry, Mean Girls.
Oh, gosh. So again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I am thoroughly thrilled at this entire process, and we will hopefully see you in about a month. Farewell.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Out. Roll credits. Whatever. Spill.